Good afternoon. This is Plowboy 56. It's Wednesday, March the 28th, about 3 p.m. Haven't done a video in a while. Just going to catch up a little bit on what I've been doing. Of course, the weather here in Alabama, between storms and cold spells and blessing, we've got a lot of rain, but it's kept us behind on a lot of things. Showing you right here, this is my just primary conventional garden area, about 80 by 80 foot. Last fall, as I do every fall, I plant a cover crop on it. This year I had planted winter grazer rye. It's a grain rye, deep rooted, goes down and brings up a lot of nutrients from the subsoil. And as you can see, most years I'll have it cut in and chopped up and turned in so it can begin breaking down by the end of February. Well, this year's been so wet, can't do that. So it's got ahead of me. It's in the early boot stages right now. So what I did, I went right here using an electric hedge trimmer. Yes, a lot of work. If I'd had a two-wheel tractor with a sickle mower or some other way, or if I was still young, could use a scythe, I could get it done a lot quicker. But I went in here and just trimmed it off just a few inches above the ground. That will allow the roots to continue to decompose. Once it reaches this stage, it does not come back normally, so I won't have a problem with it coming back and back and back. I have my long raised bed here. I had sown it in wheat, and I've got some old roofing metal here smothering out some of it, and I'll get that incorporated and worked in. So I use that raised bed and either try to incorporate or cut the rest of this. Now, excuse the shakiness. I'm going to try to move across the yard here, show you. You can see how thick this is, and this is approximately, well, it's over my waist, and that's over about 46 inches tall and very thick. So lush cover crop. But mentioned last year, try to do some composting in place instead of having to move the compost far. And so back in the winter, I started this little experiment here. I went and bought some silt fence like the contractors use when they're doing construction, and I just staked it up. And as you can see, my stockpile between my mother-in-law and several neighbors, I have a wonderful blessing of abundance of leaves in the fall. And so what I did, let's see if I can show it to you. Went in here and I'll incorporate this, and I'll go out farther with it to the length of my garden, but about 4 or 5 foot wide. And I put out a bunch of leaves, chopped them up with a weed eater as best I could. Then I cut a bunch of this rye, and I layered it about 6 or 8 inches thick. Yes, I know I should have chopped it up, but I don't have a chipper shredder right now. Then I put another layer of leaves, another layer of the rye, green rye, adding my green material to my compost bin. Then more leaves. I've also incorporated soybean meal and chicken manure from my chicken coops. And I'll decompose it, let this decompose, and later in the year I'll be working it and stirring it and turning it over. And when it's all said and done, it's right here on the edge of my main garden spot. I will take and remove this silt fence, and I'm going to take some bamboo and reinforce this a little bit to keep it from sagging and bowing so much. Funny how we always get behind on things. But I'll take and once that breaks down, rather than having to transport this compost to the garden, I'll just spread it out a little bit and incorporate it right here in the garden. I'm getting lazy in my old age, people. Show you a little bit of my raised beds. Showed you some of those in an earlier video. Started cleaning them out. Yes, hen's bit, chickweed, most of which goes to the chickens. You notice my chicken tractor. I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit. I told you how I use that on top of some raised beds. Leave it usually a year or so. Well, if you recall, last year that was right there on that raised bed. And with my wife's help, yesterday we got out here, used an old Egyptian pyramid moving method, put some rollers under it, picked it up a little bit, put some rollers on, rolled it right off that bed onto this bed. Had a lot of leftover kale and some chickweed and everything else. The chickens keep a few in there. They are loving it. I took my broad fork and dug down in that bed, didn't invert it, just break it up real good, mix it in, stir it up together. If you recall also my long compost bin, that was the height of that fabric there last year. And adding table scraps, trimmings, eggshells, coffee grounds, cleaning from the chicken pens, and then turning, you can tell it's about a foot thick now. And it is rich. There's earthworms, just you can't dig anywhere without just a handful of earthworms. I may actually try some permaculture and plant some plants right in there this year. It's still not going to be ready for the gardener this year. Also, you recall this cage was on top of this raised bed. And it was, I explained to you last year when I started it, it was up even with that bamboo. And throughout the year, adding cleanings from, pea hulls, waste vegetables, eggshells, coffee grounds, mixing it. And this past winter, I got in there, I moved that to here and started anew on this bed. This, even after I chopped it with a little electric tiller, is so thick and rich, I've decided I'm not going to be able to incorporate all that compost. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just open a hole, put a little fertilizer, starter fertilizer in there, and plant some plants and use that as a weed suppressant and to maintain the moisture in my raised bed this coming summer. So just a lot of different things I'm trying. Been doing this for 50 something years and hope to keep learning. Little reminder, here's some of my rainwater catchment, 5 bulk container totes, and I've got a spigot right here just about 50 foot from my raised beds, so I can utilize that rainwater. I've got another 14 containers hooked up collecting water on the back side of my barn, and got some more I'm going to try to install. We've been blessed. We have county water, expensive, but we also have a well, but no point in wasting it, right? Well, I'm going to cut this short. I appreciate you watching. I want to give a special shout out to a couple other YouTube channels. I don't necessarily know how to add the links, but please check out Alabama Gardener. Excellent gardening videos. Started raising rabbits and having videos on them. Shout out to him. Also, Prepper Nurse 1 up in New York. He has some excellent videos. Living off grid, So I recommend them, check them out. Hope you like my video. If you do, like and subscribe and pass the word along, and I appreciate it. This is Plowboy 56 out for now.